Welcome back to the channel, Biscuits. Are you having a fabulous start to summer? Are you thinking to yourself, my God, do I want some budget mama hacks, because year-round this year has just been exceedingly expensive, but I think we can all agree that summertime is extra expensive. It just ends up between summer camps and activities. People want to go on trips. Kids are home more eating if your kids go to school the rest of the year. It just feels like everybody wants treats this time of year. Budget insanity. So these are some of my really easy and simple to do budget hacks for a lazy, easy, less spend summer. Have a no spend or no go day at least once a week, hopefully more than that. So I find one of those things that when we go out, no matter what I think we're going to be spending, we always end up spending more. We go out for one thing and then we realize we have other errands to do. We go out grocery shopping and we end up having to get all these groceries that are super expensive, and maybe there was stuff at home we could have eaten. We go out, I go to a homeware store to buy hand towels and I end up with a whole cart full of stuff, right? It's just one of those things when you go out, you end up spending more, right? I saw a meme that said, every time I go outside the door, I spend $300. And it can really feel that way. So one of my things I do during the summer is a no spend day, where if we're going to go out and do an activity, it's going to be like a free outdoor activity or an activity that we already have a membership to. We aren't buying anything else. We aren't going on any errands. We aren't going to any stores where we spend money. No spend day. And I also include those as no-go days, where we just stay home. We walk to something fun. We play at home. We enjoy our yard. I know, crazy idea. We have an at-home movie day, or we play in the sandbox, ways that we can all have fun as a family this summer and not be spending tons of money every day, because it really adds up. Like when I look at my budget, and we've had a couple days where we've gone out and we've done a lot of errands, and I'm a pretty frugal person, so I tend to go out and do errands that I really need to do. But it can be shocking when I pay my credit card bill at the end of the month, going, oh my goodness, how was this our budget? So have a no spend, no go day at least once a week. It makes such a big difference. And then try turning off the dryer early and sticking some of your clothes out in the sunshine. I know, shocking. So at my old house, I could not do this. I so wanted to. I would sometimes sneak it off on the back deck. But I had the absolute most insane HOA. Literally, they had 2 full-time people working 40 hours a week driving around this neighborhood to ticket you for infringements. And we aren't talking having like a exploded RV in your yard. I mean, just like tiny things. So now that I live somewhere without an HOA, I can hang my clothes out a little bit. I still try to be thoughtful of my neighbors and not like just toss everything out, but I'll put out a picnic cloth or a big blanket that wants to dry that would take forever in the dryer and doesn't even dry that well because it bundles up on itself. You save so much money over the summer just using the heat and the sun. And honestly, the clothes smell really good. It's really nice to do that. I love it as almost a slow living kind of self-care, and then plus side is it's great for my budget. Now, have you thought about this? Okay, hear me out. I'm gonna move you very close there, Biscuits. I love you, but maybe that was too close. Buying by the pound, buying in bulk. I know I talk about this a lot, but I love to buy in bulk. It saves so much. So something I have done this summer now is we started to make almost all our own bread. Occasionally I'll go out and buy a loaf of something that I don't really make all that much, but I really looked at A, what were the things that we were really spending a lot of money on? Like what were we buying constantly throughout the week? And B, were they full of processed ingredients, just like a bunch of stabilizing chemicals? And even if we were buying natural stuff, how good was it really for us? And bread was one of the big ones, because we do, as my cough break, we do pizza crusts and English muffins and sandwiches all day long, cheese toast, the whole shebang. If you can imagine it with bread, we eat it. So I've started making my own bread throughout the week, and I actually bought a not too expensive bread maker that makes 2-pound loaves, and I can just put it on the night before, and then in the morning we can have fresh bread for breakfast, or we can have it all day. If I forget, it takes about 3.5, 4 hours to make, so I'll put it on early in the morning, then we'll have kind of a late lunch. And it's been big. I've really noticed a difference in our budget. One big bag of flour is anywhere from $14 to $30. It depends what you buy. It's like, is it all purpose? How big in bulk? Is it a high gluten? Like, is it a specialty kind of flour? But, imagine, let's say high end, let's say $25 for like a 25, 50-pound bag. It really varies. The cost variance is big on this one. And imagine that a loaf of bread is like $4 to $6 depending. You can get it for less, like at Costco. I can get them down, but I've really noticed that bread prices have gone up a ton. Like I would always buy our bread at Costco before I started making it ourselves. And it has just gone up. So you know what used to be 2 loaves is now the cost of one of those loaves. And they sell them in multi-packs, so like the price just kept going up. And I said, you know what? It's something we eat a ton of. We aren't super satisfied with what we're buying in the store anyway. And I don't really like all the preservatives that are in there. And my son is neurodivergent, so I'm really trying to see if I can lessen preservatives in his diet to see if it will help with his rambunctiousness, let's say. Because I've read that some neurodivergent kids can react to certain preservatives in ways that neurotypical folks might not even notice. So we're kind of testing that out. So that's been a big one. So buy in bulk. For me, it was buying flour and yeast in bulk and making our own bread has been a big one. This summer, we're trying to grow a ton of tomatoes to make our own sauce for the winter. I suspect I have not planted enough tomatoes for that because I didn't get our farm fully planted this spring the way I wanted to. And it was just like a budget thing as I just didn't quite get everything lined up quite right. So I'm going to see if we can do that, but that's my next goal for buying in bulk is to make our own bulk tomato sauce, even if I have to buy the tomatoes from a local farm and make it ourselves. I have to price point it out and see how I can do that to actually save money on it, but that's one of my goals is buying in bulk. Okay, what about, okay, have you thought about, and I know this is a painful one, cutting out paper towels. We go through so many paper towels. And I gotta say, there has been time in my mama life, like when I was first starting my little online business and my son was tiny and we were just like, we weren't even scraping by. Scraping by would be optimistic to say that. I had to be such a frugal monkey. Like we didn't even buy saran wrap. That was just too much money to spend on it. That was an unnecessary luxury. So we would just reuse plastic bags. And wrap them around the food or the plate. I would cut out paper towels and I would just use washable cloths and rags and things to clean things up. So if you're really looking for like little nips and tucks in your budget, these can be ways that aren't as painful as like, I have to give up my chocolate collection, you know, but can be really practical. If you happen to have like a really good cleaning rag and cloth and napkin collection anyway. Otherwise, it does kind of cost a lot to invest in that. I happen to have just had a lot over the years that I collected, but just spending less on those little things can add up over a whole summer because your kids are being extra messy. They're going through a ton of paper towels. I know my kids will unroll like an entire roll of paper towels if I don't watch them. And, you know, it adds up, right? And if I'm going to do the laundry anyway, you know, I could wash the hand towels or the cleaning rags with them. If I want, I can even hang them outside and save on drying. I've really got to get into more of that and see my poor neighbors. My neighbors really must think that crazy people moved in next door because I planted a big giant veggie garden that is not aesthetically pleasing. I will admit that. Biscuits, I haven't shown you my garden here because it's just not that good look. It's practical and we've had such a busy spring into summer now and me being sick for so long that I just haven't, I've been able to like do the basic bare minimum and not make it look good. So this is one of my goals is to make it look nice this summer is I want it to be aesthetically calming and pleasing. And that's part of my budget mind is like, instead of feeling like I need to go buy things, I just want to figure out things that I have to make it look more beautiful. Because I feel like sometimes in the hunt for saving on a budget, we forget the importance of having beauty around us for inspiration, to lift up our energy, to manifest this beautiful dream life. And if we just focus on numbers, sometimes it actually ends up costing us more in the long run. So keep that in mind when I give these budget tips. Find things that spark your happiness, spark that joy, but don't necessarily look at it as just hard numbers because you have to think about how are you going to feel 3, 4, 6 months down the line? How is this going to be a really good budget that you can continue that actually makes you happy? So think about that. Don't just think cheapskate, absolutely, because I've been that person that was just the cheapskate numbers. And it didn't necessarily save me money in the long time because when you're manifesting your gorgeous self, you've also got to put time into the aesthetic and the energy that you are going to vibe around you. And that's just as important as any number in your budget. Okay, biscuits, I'm going to see you over on my Patreon. This entire summer, I'm introducing a special new series to every tier on there. We are doing ancestral self-care. We are getting back to our primal inner being, and we are finding that core, gorgeous seed of happiness that is just going to grow all summer long with our ancestral self-care. It's going to be amazing over on Patreon. I cannot wait to see you over there today.